All right, so today we are working on something different. This is my dad's 58 Chevy Apache. Sounds like he's pulling up now. And he's got, I believe this is an 8.8 out of like a Ford Explorer or something like that. So good axle, and we just started cutting all the brackets and everything off last night because we're going to try and do an axle C, axle notch, and then 4-link the rear with a panhard bar. So I don't know if that's considered 5 links, but you'll have 2 links on each side, so 4-link, and then a panhard arm to keep us from walking side to side. So that's what we got going. A little bit about this truck. Like I said, it's a 58 Chevy Apache. My dad's got a cool 383 stroker in there and a T56 6-speed manual transmission. The adapter plate, he's got a Mustang 2 front suspension on here, and we're doing a full custom frame, custom engine mounts, custom transmission, custom body mounts. And then, like I said, we're gonna be doing the rear suspension today and building it up from there. Okay, so this machine here is our Bentec Dragon. Once again, I own and operate a fabrication shop, so if you're doing this at home in your garage, you probably don't have one of these machines, although you should, they're pretty sweet. So everything we're doing, you could easily do with a cut-off wheel, chop saw, something like that, but I have the cool machine, so we're gonna use it because that's kind of why I got them. Got the 2x4 rectangle tube loaded up. Look on the screen here, we've got all of our parts. Keep in mind all these are like, if you were to flatten them out like a piece of paper. So there's all our parts that it's gonna cut. So let's get her going. There's one. Not running water just because it's only a couple pieces. Normally we could actually run water through the end, throw the whole tube, comes back into this coolant tank and recycles. Okay, so now that we got all the parts cut, we're gonna do a quick cleaning, but this is how they come right off my plasma cutter. It would be a little bit cleaner had I ran some water, but once again, you know, it takes a minute to set up the water and get it flowing and everything. So for 6 parts, I was like, we don't need it. But essentially what we got, see if I can do this with one hand here, is a frame arch that's like so. So we've got about 6 inches of clearance, which is right about what I want my, you know, this is obviously where our bag's gonna go, so that's about 6 inches of clearance because we have an 8-inch bag when it's fully inflated, so we're running about a 6-inch ride height. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna clean up these edges, and I'll probably just tack them together on all 4 corners, run them over there to the actual truck frame, lay it on its side, and then we'll mark those out, and I'll probably end up just cut off wheeling those or bandsaw them. Okay, so here's what I'm looking at. I use QCAD here to just do some dimensional stuff and kind of figure out a lot of the math and, like I say, dimensions to make this project a little bit easier. QCAD's something that you can get for, I think, $40 or $50, and it's a perpetual license. Really good software. I use this every day in the fab shop for my CNC plasma table mainly. So here's what I kind of figured. We got frame rail to scale. This is the arch I want to build. Figured out, like you can see right here. what my ride height, what I want that to be. This is mocking the axle, mocking my bolt centers. This here is 7.5 inches, which is kind of a mathematical figure you do off of what size tire you're planning on running to get that gap in between the in between your top and bottom links. As you can see, we've got our plan is to have the links be perfectly level or straight with the frame. Then that way, when you get into the power, it's not gonna try and lift or anything like that. It should stay pretty planted and just drive that energy forward. And then up here, this is kind of just an idea. This would be looking at like a cross section here of your frame for our front mounts. Kind of just something I proposed to, so we'll have, you know, full weld on the side and one of the bottoms, or the bottom and one side. And then these would be my representative of my tube links and the spacing there. And these, of course, are the tabs for each side. So that's kind of what I have drawn up. That's what we're looking at doing. Okay, so we have the press brake set up. About to bend one of our front link mounts to see if it works. Wish me luck. Yeah, so you need to bump that back probably just a smidge. About right. So, got her bent up. Let's check it here. Looks like we got 90.5 degrees, so that's well within tolerance. So let's do the other one. Let's mark that other one out, Pop, and then we'll be able to bend that up. Once again, that actually doesn't look like it did a full 90 on that one. That sure didn't. It's like, why are we off now? There we go. Maybe I took my foot off. That's 90. That is going to be our support bracket for here. Okay, so we have all of our parts ready to roll. My dad's just over there cleaning up the last two for these guys right here. So we got another plate that'll get welded in. And then that's where our front links are gonna mount to. We got our support plates, and I don't know where I set the other ones, but we've got 4 of these. That'll be for the axle. So that'll take care of the 4-link. Haven't done anything with a pan-hard arm bar, whatever. You get what I mean. Yet. We've got our C's ready to roll. We're gonna take a quick break for lunch and come back, and we'll start cutting this apart, putting the C's in, putting our links in, and hopefully by the end of the day, we'll have an axle mocked up and mounted. What do you think, Pop?
Coming along good. Very pleased with progress.
Good deal. Okay, so previously we had the axle just tacked on here, and my dad had previously figured out with the fender location and everything, with where he wanted the body to sit, where our center line needs to be. So we have that kind of crudely marked out here and there. We did double check those measurements from the front end, so we can get it as square as we can. So what we're gonna do is take our C's and essentially hold them center, and then I'll be able to mark out where I need to cut. Pretty sure I'm just gonna do one side at a time instead of cutting, you know, the whole back of the frame off. I think we'll do one side at a time, and then I'll probably take like just a piece of 3/4 square tube, or, you know, a piece of scrap tube that we got laying around to keep the frame square and kind of support the rear end there. So that's what we're probably gonna work on next. Okay, so here's one side tacked in. What we ended up doing is taking that piece of 2x2 tube, and I just tacked it underneath here to kind of help hold it, and it's still moved, popped, but it helped. And yeah, so I'll try and video the other side so you can see what's going on. We do have a time lapse going, but that's what we got for that one so far, and I think it'll work. Okay, our next step here is to center this axle. We'll clock the axle. What we're gonna want is that drive flange there to be the same angle as whatever the tail shaft is coming off the transmission, at least pretty dang close. So we'll clock it, we'll center it front and back and side to side, and then we can start mocking up our links. So I've got a whole bunch of tube ends and hems from Barnes 4-wheel drive that my dad ordered. If you're looking for hems and stuff like that, Barnes is a really good source for it online. They've got a whole bunch of different sizes and different styles. And I think as far as from what I've seen, they're priced pretty dang well. So what we're gonna do is find, we have left and right hand thread, obviously for each bar. So we're gonna find which one's which, and then we'll tack those inside of our tubes. And then, you know, once they're done, fit up's good. I've actually got a rotisserie, so we'll just weld them out that way. So, one thing I did not notice until late, the reverse thread or left-handed thread has this groove in there versus your standard thread does not. So that would have made it a little bit easier had I known that to start with, but we got her figured out. So standard thread, no line, reverse thread has a little machine line in there. Okay, so this is how I'm going to tack these up. Got my spacers in there with the hems and the bolts, so everything's nice and tight, it's aligned. I'm gonna tack them up like that, and then we'll just make sure as we weld them out, we either have those same spacers in there or they may shrink. So that's how I'm gonna tack it up, and once again, everything's just getting tacked for now in case we need to change something. All right, now that we got the axle in their center, so we are, as best to our ability, getting it centered this way and twisted. We have it centered side to side. Then what I did is marked where our flange should sit, or the inside of our flange. So essentially our bracket's gonna sit like here. Mark that on both sides. We've got our previously fabricated brackets ready to go. So we're going to basically put the links on and start mocking it up. Okay, so we have our axle brackets mounted. What we're gonna do is start on that side since my jack handle's kind of hanging out over here. So, set the camera up on this side and we'll get going. Okay, got the links on. What we ended up doing for my dad's idea, which was a good idea, is measuring where that link was to the front and marking it out over here, which I probably would have figured out eventually, but it worked out. So yeah, links are on. Everything's, like I say, still just tacked. So what we're gonna do is throw 2 gussets in here on each side. This one's sitting, hopefully I'm out of the way enough to show that, but sitting something like so, down, pulling some strength down by this bolt, and then the other one right up here on top, probably just nice and square, giving some support right there. These cut out, this is my idea for the lower bag mounts. We'll bend them up, see if it works. My dad's over there grinding, cleaning up the upper bag mounts, so we'll see if I designed them right. Okay, so we have the bag perches done. Ended up doing those first before the panhard arm, just simply because I didn't want to put the panhard arm mount on the axle in the wrong spot and then have to cut it off or whatever. So bags kind of can go, or the arm can kind of go wherever, and the bags need to pretty much go there. So that's what we've got. Did a quick, easy upper mount, bent lower mount, and just did a bigger hole for that port for the air valve, or the air pitting. Yeah, they're just sitting in there. So good place to stop for the day, and we'll pick it up on the next video.